What's good, gamers? It's Trayvon, back with another video. Today, we're talking about the items that don't get enough credit. In no particular order, these are the underrated Ironman items that can completely change your gameplay. To start off, we have the Prayer Book. The Prayer Book is a reward from the Great Brain Robbery quest. By right-clicking it while wearing a holy symbol or a hallowed symbol, you can use prayer to cure poison at the cost of some prayer points. This item is very useful in places where you'll occasionally be poisoned, like Pyramid Plunder or the Hallowed Sepulchre, which are big ones. You can play through the minigames without having to worry about using up your anti-poisons, and if you have 50 or more prayer points, the book can even be used to cure venom. Next up, we have the Ancient Mace. This is a weapon that can be gotten during the Another Slice of Ham quest. What makes this weapon so useful is the special attack. It drains the prayer of your enemy and recharges your prayer for the same amount. You can also use the spec to boost your prayer points above maximum, so it's great to use during Slayer. You can just teleport to your house, use the spec on a combat dummy, and you'll have even more prayer to use. It's essentially a budget Saradomin God Sword, just with more special attack usage and without the healing effect. The Amulet of Chemistry is another underrated item. Many people don't even know it exists. While the amulet is equipped, there's a 5% chance that you will create a 4-dose potion instead of a 3-dose potion when brewing potions. While I personally don't use this because I'm lazy, many people love using this thing for stamina potions since they're such a hassle to make in general. You can also get an upgraded version of this amulet called the Alchemist Amulet from the Mastering Mixology minigame. The Chemistry Amulet itself only has 5 charges, but the upgraded version can be used with Amulets of Chemistry for an additional 5 charges, which makes a total of 10 charges per Amulet of Chemistry when using them with the Alchemist Amulet. Okay, this next one is huge if you're wanting to save prayer potions or just don't have the herb lore level to make them. We're talking about Moonlight Moth Mixes. It's a type of hunter's mix that you can drink to restore 22 prayer points per dose. Each mix itself has 2 doses. They're made by using a jarred moonlight moth with raw meat from hunter creatures. You can find moonlight moths beneath the Hunter Guild, so if you rush 99 Hunter with Hunter's Rumors, then you'll have thousands of meat to make the potions with. For a nice low-level banking method, you can actually use the Amulet of the Eye. You can get this by turning in a Tarnished Locket to the Lumbridge Guide. The Tarnished Locket is an item that can be obtained from an intricate pouch, which can be received from the Rewards Guardian after completing a round of the Guardians of the Rift runecrafting minigame. To access this minigame, you're gonna want to complete the Temple of the Eye quest. Is it a hassle having a bunch of ensouled heads fill up your inventory while on a Slayer task? Well, do I have an item for you? Allow me to introduce the Soul Bearer. This is an item that sends all of the ensouled heads from your inventory to your bank. All you have to do is charge the Soul Bearer using 1 blood and 1 soul rune, then just click the fill option. You can obtain the Soul Bearer from the Bear Your Soul mini quest. This next item is not only useful for runecrafting, but also for the teleports in general, just for getting around. We're talking about the Ring of the Elements. It will teleport you to each of the elemental runecrafting altars. It also counts as a piece of warm clothing at Wintertot, and is the only ring in the game to do so. You can buy it from the Guardians of the Rift reward shop for 400 Abyssal Pearls. The Bottomless Compost bucket is a game changer for all of your farming. It does literally what the name says. It stores thousands of compost, so you don't have to carry around multiple compost buckets in your inventory during your farm runs. When loading your compost into this bucket, it will also essentially give your compost 2 uses, because 1 compost loaded into the bucket counts as 2 charges. You can get the Bottomless Compost bucket from killing the farming boss, Hespori, which is beneath the farming guild. The Chronicle tends to be featured in a ton of efficient guides for the early game, but if you aren't reading a guide, you might not even know about it. Basically, it'll be your first way to quickly get to Varrock as a low level, and after teleporting, you arrive near a bush patch, which also makes it useful for your farming runs. To get this book, all you have to do is talk to Django to buy it, as well as buying pages from him for charging the book. Even as a maxed Ironman in the end game, I use this item for all of my farm runs. The costume needle was actually a nice surprise from Jagex when Varlamore first arrived. Basically, you can use it in place of a needle without needing any thread whatsoever. Plus, it's unlimited, so you never have to worry about purchasing additional needles and thread ever again, removing a tiny inconvenience. To get this item, you'll just need to complete the quest Death on the Isle and talk to the customer in the backstage of Villa Lucen's Theater at Alderan in Varlamore. Okay, now let me put you onto the Camulet. You unlock this from Ankara's Lament, and at first glance, it looks like some weird camel necklace, but it's actually a great teleport straight to Ankara's temple with 4 charges. And if you finish the hard desert diary, you can even switch the teleport to the temple entrance near the quarry. Now, here's why it's underrated. Most people default to a Pharaoh Scepter for desert content, but that can be a hassle for us to maintain as Ironmen. And if you really want to go all in, you can pay Lazim 1 mil to enhance it into unlimited charges, which is actually insane value compared to burning through other teleports. Alright, let's talk about an item that almost nobody ever thinks about, but it's way better than people give it credit for. The Dragon Mace. You can grab this after completing Heroes Quest for just 50k at Heroes Guild. And while most people overlook it for the flashier dragon weapons, the Dragon Mace has one thing that makes it stand out, which is the absolute massive +5 prayer bonus. Here's exactly why it's underrated. Most Ironmen instantly jump to weapons like the Dragon Skim for mid-game, for melee training, and it's solid, but it doesn't give you the prayer bonus. The Dragon Mace fills a really niche role. It's not just a melee weapon, it's a pretty good hybrid tool for when you're doing Slayer bosses where prayer management actually matters. The +5 prayer lets your protection prayers or offensive prayers last a bit longer, which can just save you supplies over long trips, like at Vedion. Here's an item that no one ever thinks about as well. It is the Broodo Shield. You can equip this with just 25 defense and 25 magic, and while it might look like just a random tribal mask slapped onto a shield, it actually has some good utility. The first thing to point out is the +3 magic bonus, which is rare for a shield at such a low requirement. Most people immediately go for elemental staves and they just never think about the Broodo Shield, but the fact that it offers a magic bonus while also giving pretty solid defensive stats makes it way better than something like a basic steel or mithril kite shield at that level. Plus, it has a good passive effect, which is similar to a black mask, which is every time you get hit, there's a chance to drain your opponent's attack stat. It sounds pretty minor, but in longer fights or when you're under-geared, that little accuracy drop on the enemy can save you a bit of food and keep your trips going for a tiny bit longer. You can get one of these by killing the Broodo victims during the Tai Bo When I Cleanup minigame and using their dropped mask with just 2 snakeskin and 8 nails. Here's an item that every Ironman grinding demons should have on their radar, and that is going to be the Ash Sanctifier. You can unlock this after completing the hard Korend and Kebos diary, and you can pick it up from Tis near the Dark Altar. To get it going, you charge it with death runes, and from there, it automatically purifies demonic ashes dropped from monsters. That means you get free prayer XP without having to stop and scatter ashes manually. By default, you'll get half the XP But if you've got the Elite Diary done, then you'll get the full amount, which makes this pretty insane because most Ironmen focus on the Bone Crusher for passive prayer XP, but obviously that only works on bones. The Astral Sanctifier covers the entire demonic spectrum, which is abyssal demons, black demons, greater demons, you name it. And people often skip it because they just underestimate how much prayer XP demons can add up to over the course of Slayer and PVM grinds. And since prayer is one of the most resource-intensive skills for us, anything that passively saves bones or restores is pretty huge, so the utility here is massive. Basically, you're training Slayer and getting passive prayer XP at the same time. So it stacks perfectly with grinds like Abyssal Demons for whips or Black Demons for Zenyte shards. And since the charges are pretty cheap to use since you're just using death runes, it's sustainable all the way through endgame. So honestly, this is one of those low-key upgrades that makes your account progression way more efficient. Okay, next up, we've got a diary reward. That looks kind of basic at first, but trust me, it's way better than most people give it credit for. That's gonna be the Explorer's Ring. You get this from the Lumbridge and Draenor achievement diary, and depending on the tier you've completed, the ring has different perks. The standout ones are the free daily Elks, Cabbage Patch teleports near the Falador farm, and probably the best part, the full run energy restores every single day. Most Ironmen look at the run restores and just think, I'm just going to use stamina potions. But when you're early or mid-game and staminas you don't have yet, that free energy is pretty huge. And the Elks are also amazing because they let you elk items while you're bursting monsters on a Slayer task. And lastly, this isn't really an item, but it is a teleport. It is the Salve teleport specifically. Why is this teleport so good, you ask? Well, it's good because it only requires level 40 magic and is one of the quickest ways to a fairy ring. Crucial early to the mid-game. To cast a spell, you need to have the Arceus spellbook, and you must have completed Priest in Peril and spoken to Drezel after the quest. And those are going to be my underrated items that I think all Ironmen should have in their arsenal. Drop your own picks for underrated items in the comments, and if this video helped, like the video and subscribe for more Iron Man content. See you in the next one.